因为我们现在的战绩跟蛮多队都是平手的战绩嘛，所以我们在最后一天的赛程中，这2场会影响到我们能不能进到4强。
And Flash Wolves have done it. They have handed them their first loss of the mid-season invitational and take down the best team in the world.
Now, the important thing to note is that all of the teams aren't in control of their own destiny.
I don't want to focus on, oh, if we win this and they win these games, then we can make it out. I just want to win as many games as possible.
The G2 versus TSM match for us is basically deciding our fate in this tournament, so we're not done yet, that's for sure.
Đây là cơ hội cuối cùng của em ở tại vòng bảng này để có thể tiến tới vòng trong.
And WE also locks themselves into the knockout stage at 5-3.
今天的比赛对我们意味着就是复仇之战吧。SKT 的话，我不希望跟他5-5开，就是要么他们爆炸，要么我们爆炸。我要跟他们打个你死我活吧。
Hello and welcome once again to the 2017 Mid-Season Invitational, beaming out to you from Rio de Janeiro's Jeunesse Arena. We are just minutes away from our first clash of Day 5. SKT getting in the zone. As you can see, a nice little cuddle puddle going on as G2 makes their way into the arena. That, of course, is our first of 6 games today. Our teams have only 2 games left to affect their position in the standings and determine who makes it to the knockout stage. I'm James Dash Patterson, complimenting my analysts that today are Indiana Frost Gurn Black, Mitch Krepa Vorspools, and Isaac Azale Cummings Bentley. Day 5, lots of shuffling still left to do. We've got a tight pack of teams racing for those final 2 spots. How pumped are you guys for our last day of the group stages?
I'm super excited, and I'm just glad that it has stayed this close the whole way through.
I'm just super happy. Europe apparently still has a shot to make it out, and a pretty good one, too. All we need to do is beat TSM, and that shouldn't be too hard.
My region's already just making the victory lap right now. We're locked into second, but I love the interview from Condino saying that second's not good enough.
Yeah, smooth sailing for your region, but of course we expect them to put up a big fight, that big last match of the day between SKT and WE, perhaps a look at maybe the final best of 5 that we'll see in this tournament. Now, it's the last day of the group stage, and we've already had a packed week of action with a ton of memorable moments. Right off the bat, one that jumps out is the new king of Kled, 957's great escape against a pack of Flash Wolves. Let's go ahead and take a look at that.
Now 957 gets jumped on in a 3v1. He's got GA. I don't think he's going to be able to survive this one. There's no support from the rest of the team.
But what about Baron right now? Because WE, they're running straight forward here. Kaza is near the Baron, trying to make it, maybe make a steal.
What?
Oh, he gets started.
957 manages to survive a few seconds longer. He's running for his life. Olympic Vision is coming down. The crab, 957, run, man, run. He gets away.
Oh, that's beautiful.
They kill Lee on the other side, and they get the Baron. Are you kidding me?
And I'm super fortunate that that's not just a treat for me. I get to see that almost every single week in the LPL. Unfortunately, though, I don't get to see 957's Kled too often. He only got to play it 3 times domestically, and it was pretty much perma-banned away from him after that. But nice to see some other teams let it slip in this tournament.
Yeah, but they might not do that any longer, having seen what he can do with that champion. Now, we want to hear your favorites, what they were at home. The good, the bad, we want them all. Tweet us at LOL Esports and use the hashtag MSI2017, and we'll pull a few to relive later in the day. Now, as always, let's start off by reviewing how the teams are stacked up. There is still a lot of shuffling that can happen. The craziest thing being a 4-way tie for 3rd place, but every team is still in control of their own destiny. So, quick rule of thumb, win 2 and you're in. Let's talk about the 4 teams still fighting for a knockout spot.
So for me, it's really going to be the Flash Wolves. You know, you look at their schedule here, they've got the easiest run in. They've already beat Team TSM as well as the Gigabyte Marines. So I think that they're kind of the easy sell in. That said, we've seen things go heads and tails sideways. They did have a good win over SKT, so anything can happen in this tournament. They're just who I'm leaning for to lead that charge.
A very up and down tournament for that squad.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of downs, they're the worst early game team in the tournament by far. They are averaging down over 2,000 gold at 15, which is pretty brutal.
Except when they start playing SKT then, you know. So like there's been so much variance in this tournament where teams show up in one way and then in the other. I think a big component of that has also been the Gigabyte Marines. They do it also in such an exciting manner. For me, seeing people bring League of Legends not back to life, but add another aspect to it. You know, the Zed Galio combo, it very much reminds me of the Poppy and Nivea combo we were pleased to see in Worlds, you know,
that.
from ANX. I love it when people find new champions, use them in creative ways. There's also the double dash of LeBlanc. Galio goes in, LeBlanc snaps back. They have signature aggression in the early game, but with a welcome champions, it's super enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, and huge shout out to the Gigabyte Marines coach. Not only is he one of the heads on that Galio competition, but he was also the first guy that brought Ziggs into that region and really propelled for that pick to pick up that team's play style.
And Ziggs has been such a big pick for them that people seem to continuously just underestimate. I mean, they've been playing this pushing-centric style, unlocking Levi, in the jungle, and people keep letting Stark have Gragas, and they keep letting Slay have Ziggs, and they keep being surprised that they're losing.
But it's hard, right? If a team is willing to pull out something like Zed, all of a sudden banning against them becomes that much more difficult because it feels like they could go any direction just based on where you try and pinch them. Fine, we'll go this way.
Definitely following Azael here, though. We can't. There's so many picks open, so definitely get rid at least of the Gragas, you know, and the Ziggs, because it seems to be a key component in many different comps. But as long as they ban that, at least Archie's Bard open, and that makes me always a happy camper.
I 100% agree with the Ziggs, especially just because, again, one of the things that they seem to struggle with is closing those games, pushing down those structures, and Ziggs is a perfect band-aid to shore that up due to his satchel damage on towers.
Let's talk about the last two teams in that group of four, and we'll talk about them together as they have a rematch today. TSM, G2, fourth match of the day.
Yeah, and I mean, TSM versus G2, this is essentially the match that decides it all for both of these teams. You know, despite their earlier results, whoever wins here will have the advantage going forward into the knockout stage.
And that's the crazy thing about this tournament. G2 came in looking for, honestly, a third chance at an international tournament to honestly please the fans. They failed day one. They had the redemption shot. They even did mediocre right after. And now they honestly have another third chance within this tournament to still make it out. It's just completely bonkers.
Yeah, of course, there are many different scenarios that could come out. We're not going to go through them all here on the desk right now. We'll update throughout the day. But given these four teams and the games that we've got going on today, strength of schedule is obviously going to play into that. The first match of the day being G2 versus SKT. We are counting all the SKT games up to this point as accepted losses, but that could always throw a wrench in as well if people start taking games off of them.
I mean, I had the pleasure to cast yesterday. Going in, I was like, okay, I got two great games, and then I have SKT stomping Flash Wolves, and then suddenly you were witnessing just magic happening, like these sweet little rotations here and there, Flash Wolves.
We gotta zoom out. We gotta get these little dance moves.
No, I enjoy being taught League of Legends just to the highest level and being able to a little bit of push and pull right in there. It was just super satisfying to watch. They completely deserved that win. It was not a steal. But then at the same time, that's the same Flash Wolves that is dropping games against other teams.
Yep, I mean, of course. Do you have something you want to throw in there?
The biggest thing for me was their laking was ridiculously good. And also, you know, I'm willing to watch more of that. But I mean, the Baron control for them was so incredible that it's weird to see that you can have a team play like almost perfect there and then just have some awful games against some of the other teams.
Well, also starting to see a little bit of a trend of SKT. You know, if they do have a weakness, where is it? And it seems to be kind of in their own ego, you know, blind picking some of these things like the blind pick Rumble and leaving it exposed to the likes of the Fizz. I don't think we're going to...
Syndra is also one of those cases.
100%. And I don't think that Koma's going to do that again, but you never really know.
To be fair, though, this is a team that, if there is a time to experiment, you're already guaranteed to get in the knockout stage. They have best of fives to go through. You know, if you're going to experiment now and then save your serious stuff for the best of fives. So, you know, you have to give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt with that.
Still need to win one to clinch that first place seed. Of course, it all starts with our first game of the day as SK Telecom T1 takes to the stage versus G2 Esports. Then TSM face off against the Flash Wolves shortly after for Game 2, followed by Team WE versus Gigabyte Marines. Now, if there are any ties left to be decided, we will bring those to you immediately following the conclusion of our last regularly scheduled game. So clear your schedule and settle in for a good old day of League of Legends.
Schedule's clear here.
Oh, good. I'm glad you could make time for us, Crepo. All right, well, as we send it to the casters to start our day, Wolf tells us what it's like to be one member in a star-studded lineup.
언제나 남들이 못해도 저는 실수가 항상 적어요. 항상 적지만 그렇다고 또 서브터가 사실 슈퍼플레이가 나올 수가 없어요. 그래서 좀 왜 밝은 별들 있잖아요. 태양들, 페이커, 피넛, 뭐 뱅, 후니. 저는 뭐 좀 아쉽긴 한데 팬분들이 알아주시면 그걸로 감사한 일이죠.
Well, thank you, Dash, and hello, everyone. I'm Julian, Pastry Time Car. Enjoy